You're watching Dante's Boxing Nation. Woo!
Dante's Boxing Nation, what's going on, guys? So Terrence Crawford, he says the dumbest thing ever. He says that Errol Spence is not a Hall of Famer. Now, before I pull out the chalkboard and break this down, let me go ahead and play the clip.
Spence will be in the Hall of Fame?
No, how? He fought in one division. They already called him a weight bully. He unified.
He did unify.
He beat Kell Brook coming off of a loss, an eye injury.
He had to go over there to get that.
He beat Sean Porter. Everything that I've accomplished, he's still trying to accomplish. I can retire right now and be in the Hall of Fame. He couldn't.
Man, there's so much to unpack, I almost don't know where to start. Crawford doesn't even realize the more he discredits Errol Spence, the more he discredits the biggest win of his entire career. There is a reason why Terrence Crawford had been chasing the Errol Spence fight for so long. The reason why he wanted that name on his resume. It was because of what Errol Spence had accomplished. It was because Errol Spence was the best welterweight in the weight class, hands down. But this goes further than who Errol Spence even beat. I don't think Terrence Crawford even understands what a Hall of Fame list is. Because if we go off of Terrence Crawford's criteria of what a Hall of Famer is, then half of the people, if not more than half of the people, shouldn't even be on the list. I mean, guys, just go ahead and look it up. Google the Hall of Fame inductees. Crawford says Spence, he only fought in one weight class. The majority of Hall of Famers only won a title in one weight class. But forget about the weight classes for a second. Let's just look at some of the names on the list. You have Artur Gatti on that list. Naseem Hamed is on that list. And Naseem was a good fighter, but my question is, how does Errol Spence not deserve to be on that list if Artur Gatti and Naseem Hamed is on the list? Jack Dempsey is on that list. And understand, guys, when Dempsey was a heavyweight champion, he refused to give black fighters a title shot. In fact, after Jack Johnson lost his title, a black fighter wasn't able to fight for the title for almost 30 years. So any white champion that held the belt at that time was not a real world champion. That would be like a white track star calling himself the fastest man in the world while refusing to race against black runners. And once again, that's who Jack Dempsey was. But now we have to talk about something much deeper when it comes to what Terrence Crawford said about Errol Spence. If you guys have noticed, black fighters, they often use race fan talking points to discredit other black boxers. And this is an epidemic in the sport of boxing. You heard Terrence Crawford say they call Errol Spence a weight bully. Who is they? They are the same people that's saying even worse things about you. They will make up anything to discredit you because you are the same race as Errol Spence. You're the same race as Devin Haney and Gervonta Tank Davis and Shakur Stevenson and Floyd Mayweather, and the list goes on and on and on. They have zero credibility in the sport of boxing, but yet you want to repeat their talking points. And you see how comfortable Terrence Crawford was to say this about Errol Spence. But when it comes to criticizing a non-black boxer, the majority of these black boxers, they talk as if they're walking on eggshells. That's because when it comes to the majority of fans, especially when it comes to the internet, the majority of those fans are race fans. So Terrence Crawford, he knows that if he disses another black boxer, it will be accepted by the race fans, but it won't be accepted by real boxing fans. And let me just make this clear. Errol Spence is not that innocent when it comes to this situation either, because before Errol Spence fought against Terrence Crawford, he was doing the exact same thing, using every single race fan talking point to discredit Terrence Crawford, even though he was about to fight Terrence Crawford. But to Errol Spence's credit, after he lost to Terrence Crawford, to this day, he admits that Terrence Crawford is pound for pound the best fighter in the world. Like I said, the majority of these black fighters have been infected by this epidemic. When it comes to Devin Haney, before Devin Haney fought Ryan Garcia, I remember at this point, everybody, including old media, they were all saying that Terrence Crawford is pound for pound the best fighter in the world. The only person, and when I say the only, I mean the only person who was disagreeing with that was Devin Haney. Devin Haney, he did an interview. He was asked who's the best fighter in the world. At this time, Devin Haney, he said Canelo Alvarez is the best fighter in the world. He said it's not Terence Crawford because when Terence Crawford fought against Errol Spence was weight drained. Which is so ironic because Terence Crawford is calling Errol Spence a weight bully, which is the complete opposite of being weight drained. You see, Devin Haney, he was comfortable discrediting Terence Crawford because he knows that that will be accepted by the race fans. Just like he knows that it will be accepted if he says Canelo Alvarez is the best fighter in the world, despite the fact that Canelo had already lost to Bivol. This is the same reason Shakur Stevenson, he jumped in that ring after the Haney-Lomachenko fight, and he dissed Devin Haney while at the same time saying that Lomachenko, he won the fight, he was robbed, and he should be undisputed today. Because Shakur felt that's what the fans wanted to hear. Gervonta Tank Davis, he'll diss Terence Crawford, Devin Haney, Shakur Stevenson, but then he will go out of his way to praise Naoya Inoue or Canelo Alvarez. Because he knows that that is accepted. Shakur Stevenson, he goes out of his way to say that Tyson Fury would beat Muhammad Ali when no one even asked him this question. Because Shakur knows that even if race fans disagree with what he said, they're not going to have a problem that he said it. They're still going to love the fact that he said it. It's just so unfortunate that these Black American boxers, they cannot stay on code to save their lives. And when I say stay on code, I just mean tell the truth, unapologetically. Don't look for acceptance, just speak the truth. You can't just be smart and intelligent inside the ring. You also have to be intelligent outside of the ring. When it comes to these black boxers, it's always every man for himself. These black boxers will often talk about the double standards, how they're not being treated fairly, they're not getting the credit that they deserve. But then when it comes to the next black boxer being treated the same way, they will diss them using the exact same race fan talking points that are being used against them. This is ridiculous. Terence Crawford is going out of his way to discredit Errol Spence, not even knowing that he's shooting his own self in the foot. You can't have it both ways. You can't ask for credit for beating Errol Spence, but then tell people that Errol Spence basically did nothing. He doesn't even deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. This is extremely disappointing because when it comes to these races, they know how to stay on code. They don't even have to have a meeting or anything like that. All it takes is for one of them to say something and then the rest will follow. And what they say doesn't even have to be true, which 90% of the time it's not. Just to give you guys an example, when Teofimo Lopez kept dissing Top Rank over and over and over again, for the longest, when Bob Arum did interviews, he would still praise Teofimo. He would still defend Teo. And the ESPN commentary team, they would do the same because they knew how to stay on code. I mean, you guys remember the way Bob Arum was talking about Terence Crawford, and Terence Crawford was still praising Bob Arum. At the end of the day, if you're going to fight for equality, fair treatment, and the credit that you deserve, you have to be willing to do that for all of the boxers that are in your exact same situation, because the power is in numbers. That's the way you make change. This is what makes old media so influential. They overwhelm people with numbers. And what's also powerful is that microphone. And if fighters like Terence Crawford, Gervonta Tank Davis, Shakur Stevenson, Devin Haney, etc., if they were all on the same page, using their platforms to point out the double standards, as opposed to only defending themselves and following race fan talking points, then you would really be getting something done. It don't make no sense that all these black fighters, they can go completely silent when Ryan Garcia and Teofimo Lopez are extremely comfortable to publicly come out and say the most racist stuff in the world, but then black boxers are extremely comfortable with dissing each other publicly. It's one thing when you're saying stuff that's actually true, but what Terence Crawford is saying about Errol Spence is not even true, and it's at the expense of once again making himself look bad. Oh, wait, bully. I cannot believe that Crawford could fix his mouth to say something so ridiculous. Terence Crawford would never call a David Benavidez or a Canelo Alvarez a weight bully because he knows the race fans, they wouldn't go for it. Now, I'll close out with just talking a little bit about Errol Spence's credentials. So just to give you guys a little bit of a trip down memory lane. Sean Porter, he beats Keith Thurman, becomes the champion. Kell Brook, he beats Sean Porter. Errol Spence, he beats Kell Brook. Then beats Sean Porter, Danny Garcia, and unifies by beating Yordenis Ugas. And if Errol Spence never ran into Terence Crawford, he would most likely still be undefeated today. Crawford, you don't understand that Errol Spence, that's your Tommy Hearns, that's your Hagler, that's your Joe Frazier. That's your Manny Pacquiao. You would never hear Muhammad Ali saying Joe Frazier doesn't deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. I'm telling you, man, y'all got to stop catering to these race fans because they're really making you look bad. With that being said, I'm going to wrap this video up. That's all I got for now, guys. I'm on to the next one. All right, now check this out, guys. If you're looking to repair eczema scars, burns and bruises, dark spots and blemishes, fever blisters, diabetic ulcers, this right here is the perfect product for you guys. It's called LO Decay Face and Body Oil. Athletes and top-ranking boxers, they're also using it after training to reduce swelling, inflammation, and to ease the pain. So get yours today. Go to lodecay.com, like them on Facebook, and follow them on Instagram. Let me tell you guys about Issa Israel Law Firm. It is a full-service legal practice based in Denver, Colorado, an emerging hub for combat sports and high-altitude training. If you're a fighter inside or outside of the ring and you need a law firm you can trust to fight for you, visit thefighterfirm.com or email help@iilawfirm.com. Legal representation is usually limited to plaintiffs or defendants in Colorado, but iFirm can help anyone in the world with trademarking their business name, logos, and U.S. immigration issues. This brother has been my attorney for a while and helped guide me through all kinds of business and civil issues, so make sure you guys go to thefighterfirm.com.